Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial we're gonna make probably the biggest project that I have ever made with epoxy. I have had this for 3 years because I had really good intentions on making a beautiful Christmas scene. I guess you would call this a charcuterie board, but it's huge. Okay, so what we're going to do is paint the glue on. We're going to add our glitter, and then we will put our epoxy on top. If we mix our glitter into the epoxy, I feel like we're going to use a lot of this glitter, so which would be the easier option. But for this one, since it is so large, we're going to go ahead and put our glitter on, and then we will come over with our epoxy to seal it in, sand, and then we will work on our stencils. Over our stencils, we will be using Duke Gray. So pretty. And then we will layer our florals and our wording on top. We're gonna do something really big through here. It's gonna be beautiful. So let's grab our paintbrush and we will get started with our glitter. I say paintbrush, but we are using our really rough looking e.l.f. Total Face brush. And our Southern Belle Glitter Full Adhesive. Now, I don't want to go over the edge with this, only to the edge. Okay, pretty good. Let's close this up. I'm gonna go wash off my brush. And now before I dry this, I'm going to take a rag. I'm gonna go around the edges. This is going to keep my glitter from going over the edge. There will still be a couple of spots that I have to pull the glitter off just because the glue is starting to dry, but this will drastically help not having to sand our edges. So we're using Gold Rush. I'm gonna try to keep it on the board, and then I'll just put down some paper, maybe some parchment paper, roll it out underneath it. I probably should have done that to begin with. Once I have a good bit of this sprinkled on, I'm going to Also take a chip brush and kind of pull the glitter around. So I don't have so much extra on here that we have to knock off. Let's just sweep our glitter to those edges. Oh, let's not make a huge mess. Oh, man. And we do want as much excess to come off as possible because I really only want to do one coat of epoxy on this before we start our peekaboo. So, because this is going to take a lot of epoxy. Brushing off the excess. And I think that's good. Oh yeah. I'm using a little extra incorporated epoxy, turbo dry. This is their fast set. I tell y'all all the time that you can mix a ton of this stuff and it's not going to flash core on you. So here is the true test. This is 8 ounces, 240 milliliters of a little extra incorporated turbo epoxy. Now, I don't think we're going to need this entire cup on this, but I am working on other things. So any extra, I will be putting on cups that are on my turner. We might use it all. I don't know. I've never made anything this big, so we will see. Leave about 20 milliliters in there. We just need to get in there. There we go. Maybe that's bringing out the Mac Daddy. Hopefully I don't set my room up. Let me let me move the aerosol cans out of the way. Jesus. That would be smart. That took us a good like 15-20 minutes, and this epoxy still has not started setting up. I'm going to use the 40 milliliters that we have left over to epoxy some cups, and I'm still going to have time to torch them without it curing on me. So, and it's going to take anywhere from 2 to 3 hours to cure for me to be able to turn my turners off and handle. All right, we'll be back when this is dry and sanded. Woo, threw it down. Okay, this has been sanded. I gave it 1 coat of epoxy and a really good sand, and is very smooth, ready for us to add on our stencils. We had some mishaps with our Cricut machine, so I did run out of my temporary white vinyl that I was using, so I used a sheet of patterned vinyl, but this is also temporary. And look at how pretty that is. This just got scratched up from taking it in and out of my binder, and so I kept it so I could use it for this purpose one day, but it turned out so pretty. This would look good over just a glitter base. But anywho, let's go ahead and get these on our board. Now, of course, I've completely forgot how we had them positioned on our InDesign space, but that really doesn't matter. I'm going to cut them out, kind of place them around on the board where I'm going to put them, and then we'll get them laid down. I don't think I have ever used stencils this big. I've always stuck to like the smaller size, but this I really want to see that glitter pop through since it's such a big tray. That way the stencils can really be made out in the background. I think we're gonna put that one like that. And although these were completely separated in design space, for whatever reason, it shifted them. And I don't know, yeah, you can see that a little bit. You see that? It like overlapped them in a couple of areas. Of course it did. So we're gonna fix it here. I'm just gonna cut that to a curve and cut that piece off that was overlapped. Now, of course, my vinyl of choice would have been stencil vinyl. But I am currently out of it, as usual. There's not much that comes on those rolls. From Hobby Lobby. I'll have to try to catch it on sale and just really stock up, because a lot of times my Hobby Lobby is out of it. And it does the same thing here. These were definitely not overlapped. We've got 2 leaves going across each other. Thanks a lot, Design Space. Let's see if I can get this whole board in here.
Now some of this is going to hang off the edge, and that is fine. I think that's the same one. I don't want to put them side by side. So that's I think that's good right there. Nothing is going as it should in my craft space today. Nothing. I'm making 5 tumblers. 5 of the Antisocial. We opened up pre-order for it, and first delay was I was without power for an entire week from the hurricane, which put me behind on my job, which I had to get called up prior to stepping back in here. So that set me back about 2 weeks. And I was finally able to get them started. I got them halfway done. And as y'all know, my torch has been going out on me. So I got a new torch. And after it finished spitting and sputtering on me, just like the old one was doing, it stopped working. And I mix my epoxy up like there is no tomorrow, because a little extra is so good you can very lightly torch it and remove all of those bubbles. So I had heavily mixed my epoxy, so there was bubbles all in it, and I was unable to remove them from the cups because my torch went out on me. So we are currently torchless. And I have 5 cups that I have to strip and start over. Cricut machine. Should have removed some of the tackiness from this before I put it down, because it is really wanting to stick. That's okay, that's going up close. We're going to cut that off. I don't think I had it this way, but I want to put it this way. Good. We'll put a little something here and a little something there. That worked out good. Holy moly. Cut this extra off so it don't try to pull the whole thing off on me. Okay, now we're going to go all around the edges. I'm going to zoom you in here because I will only do one section, and then I'll pop off camera and do the rest. But we're going to get right here, right along the edge where our epoxy should stop, and just trim these off. Okay, so we have cut off all of those little extra pieces around the side, and now I'm going to tape off the edges. This board is not at all straight around the edge, so that does make it a little bit more difficult. If you guys do a large board like this, I do recommend finding one that's not as whimsical around the edges, because it definitely makes it a little bit more difficult to epoxy. We're using Magnolia Home Duke Gray. All right, I've got you at a different angle. Hopefully this is a little bit better so you can see more of what is going on. This paint stinks. It smells like a stink bug. I mean, that's the only, and it's dried for almost 24 hours at this point, and it stank. So anyway, just thought I should tell y'all that. We are gonna add on some shimmer to this, and how we're gonna do that is our Adhesive Apothecary Binding Potion. I'm gonna put quite a bit here in my cup. Let's see, that is about 10 milliliters. I'm gonna take some of our Crushed Diamonds Mica from Chase Ray and just sprinkle it into the cup. We are going to use a good bit. Just going to mix this in. Once that's mixed, I'm going to pour it all over. Well, this is not the first time that I have used this like this. It works really well to add a little bit of shimmer to your cup if you're not quite in the stage of wanting to add your epoxy on. We're not wanting to add epoxy on just yet because if I remove the stencils and then add the shimmer into my epoxy, then all of these little sparkles are going to look like micro bubbles on top of my gold glitter. So that is why we're applying it like this. You do want to work quick because this stuff does start to dry quickly. And we're just going to dab it all around to get it nice and even so it doesn't look clumpy in areas. This will not look foggy at all. We're just going to continue to dab until it appears that it is nice and even. Got a pink speck of glitter there. So dab until you have that even coverage. And then once we have this even, we will allow it to dry for about 2 hours. And then we can come remove our stencils and add on our epoxy. This stuff works wonderful as a glitter sealer, but I have been trying to test out different ways that we can use it. Alternatively, we could have used the Southern Belle Full Glue. However, it does remain tacky, so we would have used a lot more of our mica than what we used to do this. And I think this works really well. So I'm just going to leave it as is, and then we'll come back and remove our stencils in roughly 2 hours. And we're back. Look at how sparkly that is. It is very pretty. And now it's time to take forever and remove our stencils. Let's see how this goes. I'm not 100% sure if the stencil vinyl would have even actually worked for this. Sometimes it has a pretty hard time getting those real fine details because it's a bit thicker than vinyl is, or regular vinyl. And I don't want to say it's not as sturdy. That's the only word that I can think of that describes it. If you've tried to cut something pretty intricate on a stencil vinyl before, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because it just kind of messes up. Doesn't hold detail very well like a regular vinyl or a temporary vinyl would. Okay, I can tell this is going to take a good while, so I'm going to go ahead and get all of these stencils removed, and then I'm going to give this a coat of epoxy so our decals are going on a nice glossy surface, and then we'll be back. All right, we have added on a coat of epoxy. Look at how pretty that shimmer is. It almost looks like it's frosted. Love it. And the gold glitter just does not look good under these lights in here, but whenever you angle it towards like natural sunlight away from these lights, it really is beautiful. Sometimes I hate how all of the artificial lights make things look because it looks nice in person, but here on camera it definitely looks a little funky. We were gonna go with these originally, I believe, but I have since switched it up because this color is like a bluish gray, and that's also in these flowers here. These are from Gracefully Created, and let's see. Now go ahead and trim these out, and then we will be back and we'll just place them around the board. I'm also going to use this, but I'm going to cut it up in pieces and use it along the edges. Okay, I cut out this entire sheet and have just, it took me a while, so I didn't do that on camera, but I placed them all over this board in the areas that I wanted to put them. And then these pieces, like this one down here, all of these are those small pieces. And let me see if I can angle the camera down there. There you go. You can see those small pieces that I did up there, and then a couple down here as well. Sorry, I know this camera is such a weird angle. I really need to kind of extend my space before I work on another project like this, but for now, this is okay. So all I'm going to do is try my best to avoid touching any of this clear part. How I do that is whenever I take this off, I usually just take the backing and put it up here at the top so I can use this as a guide. And then I'm not going to put it all the way to the edge, but I'm going to put it pretty close. Pretty close. And then we'll press that down. You want to make sure that you get those edges press down really well. That way they're not going to show underneath your epoxy. And if you have any bubbles underneath that, you want to get those out too. You could do that by just using the tip of one of your weeding pins and then pressing it out. All right. Now, I'm going to add on a pretty thin coat of epoxy. So we used roughly, I believe, 200 milliliters of epoxy for the initial glitter coverage. that was a really good coat. So I took in my palm sander and sanded it nice and even on top of that. Then we added on our stencils, our spray paint, our adhesive Apothecary binding potion, along with the crushed almonds. So it wasn't as thick as what it was with the glitter, and I only used about 150 milliliters to give this coat right here. So for this one, since it's pretty flat and we just need a nice glossy surface, just so when we add on our wording, it's not going to show this little indent over our vinyl. I'm probably only going to use about 120 milliliters of the A Little Extra Incorporated Turbo Epoxy. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll be back to add on our decal and final coat. Okay, so we've cut out our extra large decal. Now I did need a 24-inch mat for this because these are cut to about 19 inches long. However, if you do not have a mat this size, you can cut one word at a time for a tray this large. You'll just have to, I would use a leveler and some masking tape or painter's tape to tape off a straight line on your board or your tray prior to adding on your decals if you have to separate them. That way you can get them straight. I have sanded this tray smooth using a palm sander, and I'm gonna get out, hey look, there's some stencil material. This should be enough here. I'm just going to overlap my stencil, or not my stencil, my transfer tape in the middle. I have a feeling this is going to be pretty difficult. That is okay. We're going to get it. Kind of bound up a little bit. Let's see if we can do this. Now I'm going to cut out around my words. That way I can center everything up. It's been doing all kinds of crazy things, and I'm not certain why. It's only difficult because this tray doesn't have solid edges, which, by the way, I was at Hobby Lobby this week getting some Christmas stuff, and I saw that all of their fall trays are on sale. I think they were 60% off, so that means that they will be 70% coming real soon, or 75, whatever they usually put theirs on. And they didn't have this board in particular. They had a couple that were a little bit darker, and the edges were straight. So I would recommend getting a straight edge board. It'll make it a lot easier for you. I'm really going to work this down because our board is sanded, so I want to make sure that all of that adhesive gets into the board. Awesome. Oh yeah, that looks so good. Okay, we're ready for our final coat of epoxy.
Luna has to get her 2 seconds of fame. I love how this turned out, guys. I think that this is probably one of my favorite things that I have ever made with epoxy, and I absolutely want to make larger items in the future. The florals, the paint, the glitter, the vinyl, everything just turned out so beautiful together. It worked really well, and I'm definitely keeping this for myself, and I'll probably leave it on my table forever and ever. I hope that you guys enjoyed doing something a little different from tumblers here on the channel. Look at that shine. You can see me here in the background. Seriously, the darker the color that you put under a little extra incorporated epoxy, the more that it shows that mirror effect that it gives on your stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below for me, and I will answer them as quickly as possible. All materials will be listed down there as well, and with some discount codes. That is all for today. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time.